Hello, everyone who already joined to our webinar. Good to see all of you who's interested to talk and discuss sessionization challenge and work with Google BigQuery data. I believe this puzzle background illustrate the best, the challenge to deal with events, hits. By the way, may I ask you, could you please send a plus in the chat if you have experience to solve Rubiks Cube? I mean, it's the best way actually to figure out if you're ready to deal with sessions, hits, and GA4 data as well. Wow. Yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of ways to build Rubiks Cube, and also there is a lot of way to build sessions on the events data. We have about 2 minutes before we start. I really love this picture because it illustrates that sometimes life and data a little bit complicated than we would like to have it. However, once we normalize it and once puzzle solved, it looks so cute. I believe everyone has his own feeling to decrease entropy. Well, let's start our webinar. I'll be the host. My name is Vlad Flux. I'm leading Rubiks product company. And today we'll talk about sessionization on top of the GA4 and universal analytics data. Please feel free to ask questions and send your feedback in a chat online. There is a slight delay, about 20-30 seconds. So if I wouldn't reply shortly, call my or I in person reach out to you once I see a request. Well, so I'm excited to share everything that we know about sessionization, GA4 data, and before we start, I would like to share with you the background of Rubiks, what our experience is based on. As a product company, we focus on digital analytics landscape, proud to be #1 in marketing analytics and e-commerce analytics by GT Crowd. And our goal actually is to democratize multiple data source reporting. That is the reason why we're really passionate to blend data, especially Google Analytics data. And as you assume, sessions data is a kind of data that we are working with a lot. Our technology is truly unique and patent. And today, our goal and my goal is to share everything that we get you working with GA data in order to build performance report and build sessions. Please feel free to, by the way, can I ask you, please just send a plus if you have experience to perform SQL queries on top of GA4 data. So I hope everyone has experience to work with SQL. However, if you have worked with Google Analytics 4 data in Google BigQuery, please send, like some sign in the chat. Just okay. Okay, I'll do my best. I'll do my best to make this webinar useful for those of you who are not experienced yet to work with Google BigQuery and GA4 data, and also for those of you who already struggle and have experience with Google Analytics data at the same time. So no worries at all. If you find something unclear, please reach me in a chat. I'll be happy to answer all of your questions. So let's jump to our topic, and let's start with building simplest performance report. And this report should contain ads data and transactions revenue, because every marketer would like to match costs and revenue at the very beginning, right? So the point is that transaction and campaigns have no mutual keys to join these data. So in order to group campaigns on a channel level, for instance, we can easily use like group parameter and drill down on a campaign or even keywords data. However, as soon as we would like to join grouped campaign data with transactions, we need somehow to group transactions with campaigns keys as well. So this is the moment that we need sessions. And sessions is a kind of object. It's actually synthetic object. So we have to build it that has foreign keys both to ads and to transactions. And during this webinar, I'm going to show you the idea why during this session differs with GA4 data and Universal Analytics, and share some sequels, some tips and tricks how to work with sessions on top of these data. So from a marketing and a business perspective, sessions, it's a synthetic entity that we use in order to join transactions and ads at the same report and drill to some dimensions. Well, first of all, let's figure out how Google Universal Analytics schema differs from Google Analytics 4. As all of you, I believe, familiar with, ads is connected to the sessions in Google Universal Analytics Data Export. And the most important part about Google Universal Analytics Export is that every row in a table exported into Google BigQuery represents particular session. So it means that you like query actually the sessions data once you group it, once you deal with that kind of export from Google Universal Analytics 360, right? So, and one of the most important field of every session is traffic source field. This field has a key that you can use to join with ads data, like UTM parameters, for instance. So this field is a record field. It contains a few fields like source, medium, campaign, keyword, and the logic behind filling this field in a set is last non-direct link. So it means that if user made a second session on a website, traffic source keep the same, right? And the value would be A, even if the session would be, for instance, direct and doesn't fall after different ads. And transactions data that we're going to join with ads, transaction data is stored in his transaction field. That's it, as simple as that. As soon as user go to the website through another campaign, for instance, ads B, we've got different UTM parameters, and that triggers new sessions. So new ads, new sessions, traffic source B, hits transaction, that's it. Top 3 rules to trigger sessions in Universal Analytics are following. So first of all, new campaign will start a new session regardless of activity. So once new gclick, it's a unique ID of click on Google Ads, or dclick ID, it's a click through like double click campaigns or ads. Once those ID appears on a website, it triggers new session. The second trigger is a hit that the second rule is that hits are processed if they arrive within 5 hours of close of preceding day. So it means there is no way to trigger session and reprocess on the past once 4 hours after processing day. And third rule is that if user is on a website when midnight arrives, a new session will be started. For those of you who are like Google Analytics partner and has access to partners portal, I believe you know and familiar with a lot of discussions and all those threads about, hey, sessions should be calculated this way. No, we should like fix this logic behind of the session. And the reason why so many doubts and why so many opinions around the sessions calculation is that there is no only one correct way to build sessions in the market. It actually depends on your business logic and your business needs. For instance, some of the sessions parameters can be adjusted on the account level. For instance, it's like the campaign lifespan, right? So how long last non-direct click should be used to attribute the data source. And now we can compare the same logic, so the same like task sessions creation with Google Analytics 4 data. And there are a lot of changes here. So first of all, we have to keep in mind that every row in a table structure exported from Google Analytics 4 into Google BigQuery represents event, not sessions. So all the data isn't aggregated around the sessions anymore. Every row is an event, not a session. Moreover, if customer follow the second like different ads like B, traffic source keep the same value, because the traffic source now it's acquisition source. It's actually user scope dimension, not a session one. So if you have experience to work with Firebase, you find it like similar to the attribution approach that is used in Firebase. And traffic source, once again, it's the like keys, the name of the campaign that leads user on the very beginning. It's acquisition traffic source. What about the actual source, right? The source of particular interaction or like the subsequence of actions on a website of users. Those data, I mean like gclick or UTM parameters, are saved in event params field. Event params field is really powerful field that contains almost everything about user interaction in a website if you collect it with GA4 data. And moreover, as you can see, if customer and user made a like post event on the website, traffic source keep the same, but there is no duplication and there is no last non-direct logic in order to fulfill any field. So it leads us to new challenge for every data analyst to develop and define your own logic, how you would like to attribute source of particular campaign to sessions that follows to the first one, like first one interaction connected directly to these ads. And the reason why session calculators are way different in GA4 are the following. So first of all, in Google Analytics 4, new campaign does not begin in new session. So it means that if, for instance, customer made a click and landed to the website, and in a few minutes, this user made a second click with different UTM parameters, it doesn't trigger a new session anymore. The second different is like I would say improvement, right? So is that events are processed if they arrive up to 72 hours. It's a really important change, especially for the customers who use mobile apps a lot. I mean, if the customer, for instance, made a few interactions on a mobile app and in some reason lost a connection, and once he back to mobile app and open it, for instance, on a day after tomorrow, day after tomorrow, all the collected interactions will be sent to GA4 and causes reprocessing and trigger new sessions. And last but not least, sessions are not restarted at the midnight anymore. So here's not all the differentiation between Google Universal Analytics sessions and Google Analytics 4. I did my best and collect all the necessary links to useful materials that I show and that I share on the next slide to you. Please feel free to follow those links to find comprehensive description and all the details about session calculation and session processing from Google. I definitely recommend the best help center ever. You can find almost every answer on the support Google portal. Well, as you can see, the schema is different and the logic is different. Let's have a look how actually the value will be different on a particular example. So let's imagine a second that we have a timeline. So this column represent some interactions that happen from particular user with paid search, for instance. And during this timeline, this user made 3 clicks, A, B, and C. It could be like the set of UTM parameters, I mean, source medium keyword, or just gclit. It doesn't matter. And let's see how actually field would be calculated for Google Universal Analytics hits data. As you can see, all of the values of client ID are the same, right? Because it's the only one user and every client ID is the same user ID. Well, session ID, as we can see, session ID always upgraded and has a new value once user change source. So once user click to a new ad with new ID, with new UTM parameters, new session was started. Also, we can see the traffic source field in Google Universal Analytics hits data contains the last known direct value of these ads. Well, based on this data, we can easily answer which of those ads leads particular transaction ID. So this column represents IDs of those transactions, and every row here is just a hit, right? Well, it's as simple as that for Google Universal Analytics hits data. Let's see how it would differs from Google Analytics for data. User ID, UID, it's kind of client ID, nothing much change here, and this column has the same values, right? U1. However, as you can see, session ID is a way different. For instance, if customer clicks to the ads B, it doesn't mean that new session was triggered here. Also, traffic source field, it contains the only first ads ID. It would be great if you like give me an idea if I unpack this really unobvious schema and logic on a understandable way, and ask you a question if you have some, because every report should start from understanding of data schema and a logic that this report has to be based on, right? So there is a really interesting thing here that I would like to put your attention on. There are some hits without session ID at all. It would be interesting to hear from you if someone can guess what is the reason to find GA session ID field blanked. Let's give it a few seconds. Just share your thoughts, your guesses. If you already started querying GA4 data, I believe you find it like unexpectedly, right? And surprised by empty GA session ID field. Full disclosure here. Obviously, the not event parameters field contains those values. I'll show you the SQL query to extract UTM parameters and traffic source data from event parameters field. So it unnested value, and session ID in Google Universal Analytics, it's concatenated ID as well, and I showed the way how it was calculated as well. So some guesses that the reason why there is no GA session ID is because we don't have session source medium. Now, even interactions and events without source media could have GA session ID. Nothing wrong. Measurement protocol, it's good. It could be, but it's not like most popular reason at all. Well, so the most popular reason actually it's consent mode. So unconsent users who didn't give their consent to collect user level data for analysis, that kind of data cannot be aggregated because there is no way to join a few events into one session, because there is no permission from user to use like client ID or whatever user ID you have. So the easiest way to double check it based on your data is just to query this SQL, and you can find out that user ID is absent, session ID is absent, especially for the interactions where analytics storage equal no. So yeah, you're right. So yeah. Well, so there are a lot of actually like reasons that could occur to this situation, and these data I just would like to highlight that this is not a bug. It's something expected based on data collected with consent mod implemented. And as I promised, two SQL queries. The first one to generate session ID, as simple as that. For Google Universal Analytics, you can just concatenate full visitor ID and visit ID in order to get unique session ID. And the second query is a little bit complicated, is a way to extract source medium content data from event parameters. You have to unnest it and concat it in order to fulfill to fill this column in your report. As you can see, this table is flattened, so unnested, I believe it's is a most popular and useful function for everyone who work with Google Analytics for data nowadays. Well, let's move on. There are three ways to deal with GA4 data once we would like to empower and upgrade our reports. The first one is a traditional approach. We can just write new SQL for GA4 data and generate report in the same structure. For instance, we've migrated to GA4. Okay, let's rewrite our SQL and build a report with the same structure. Today, I'm going to share a different approach that we find useful and share advantages, how to actually convert and sessionize GA4 data in universal analytics schema format. So it's really possible do via SQL to generate and convert GA4 events data into sessions, and not just to the sessions, but into compatible structure with universal analytics. And in order to give you comprehensive overview about the ways to support and empower your reports, I would like to mention third approach and third way is to transform universal analytics and GA4 data into modeled format, which reflects ontology model. So we conduct a webinar dedicated to this approach a few weeks ago. Please feel free to watch a recording of this webinar. So idea of this approach is that you don't work on like particular reports. First of all, you generate flattened tables for each entity, like session, user, transactions. And once you got those flattened table, you build reports on top of it. And if you decide to move or migrate to GA4, you just replace the source for objects that generated by Universal Analytics data before. Let me pause for a while and answer to your questions from a chat. Well, so Martin, thank you for your question. With consent mode, where isn't user pre-UDA ID? Right, it's correct. It's 100% correct. So here there should be user ID, right? Thank you for this notice. There should be user ID here, despite we have some transactions. You're 100% right. Thank you. And Sava asks, if the user has no consent, how it is joined for a user? Well, technically, it could be joined. It calls synthetic data. And colleague of mine, Ilya, and performed webinar a few months ago, I believe, regarding conversion modeling. So there is a way to generate synthetic data around even unconsent data However, as Martin noticed, right, there is no user ID and client ID on consent level data. So, as I promised, here's a list of essential materials about the logic, about the way how actually traffic source are calculated in GA4 and in Google Universal Analytics. Here you can find the comparison about the session. And by the way, we share our SQL templates as well, just for those of you who would like to use it on top of your data. And one of my favorite one, I really believe this article, it's a really like brand new, it's a unique count approximation. So this article was recently published on a website, on a blog, Google developers blog, and this article unpacked the reasons why you can find some discrepancy between number of sessions and metrics calculated on top of the Google BigQuery data and the ones that you see in UI in Google Analytics, no matter GA or GA4. It's a really useful and insightful article. I would definitely recommend you. I don't think there is a chance to to convince marketers to read all those articles, like compare metrics, but my huge recommendation to all of the analysts to read those articles was by yourself, because you definitely hear the questions from call viewers, from marketing team, why my metrics are diverse, what's going on, and I believe you find answers and explanations for those discrepancy on those links. Yeah, sure. So this presentation would be available for those of you who just ping me or email us. Feel free to use it. Because there are a lot of materials and online in internet, and I hope it saves you time. Well, once we decide to proceed with second approach to generate sessions level data on top of the GA4 events data, and we would like to create those sessions in the same structure, compatible schemas with Universal Analytics, let's have a look how can it looks like, especially in Google BigQuery. So here's a structure of SQL. As you can see, it is not the smallest one. So in order to present it here, I folded each section just in order to give you an idea what kind of steps are here in order to build sessions on top of the GA4 data, and would like to highlight this part. This part is the most important one because it's responsible for the markups. So here we create we started new session. If, for instance, new source medium campaign appears or new G client ID appears on a website, and the nutshell on this SQL is that it's possible to migrate all the logic behind this calculation into SQL one. So you don't need to write Python code. You don't need to write some complicated scripts on Java or other program languages in order to transform your GA4 data into sessionized format. In AWACS, we use our own product in order to orchestrate transformations to build those tables. However, you feel free to run them on top of the tool that you prefer and use in your own organization. Let's pause for a while in case if some of you have a question. Please feel free to to send them in the chat, I'll be happy to answer. Meanwhile, I would like to invite you and share my personal honor to the conference Super Week. This is a conference that's going to be this January in the middle of Europe in Hungary. I'll be one of the speakers and happy to share these discounts for those of you who decided to take part. Definitely recommend it. There are a lot of data analysts and marketers annually take part in this conference. It's offline conference, and I'll be happy to meet you in person. This is, believe me, one of the best offline conference for analytics ever. And please feel to use this promo code and enjoy it. Well, just to recap of everything that we have discussed, the sessions are the essential entity and object that used to join transactions data with campaigns data, and because of the data schema and the logic behind of session calculations are different in GA4 and Google Universal Analytics, data analysts have to figure out their own way to build sessions. And one of the approach that I shared is to generate Google Universal Analytics compatible sessions data over Google Analytics 4 data. And I truly believe it saves a lot of time for those of you who already support hundreds or even thousands SQL written on top of the existing export from GA360. We're going to share everything that we find useful and interesting in OWASP. So feel free to subscribe to this channel, and please like a video if you enjoy it. We'll be happy to share new SQL, some tips and tricks around Google BigQuery, and also please join our demo if you're interested to run those transformations with your data. That's all. Thank you for your questions and your feedback. Please feel free to send questions if you have some. Reach me through email or in a LinkedIn. And good luck with sessionization.